Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Introduction to Studies at KTH and this webinar. We're so happy you're here, and we hope that this webinar will be equally informative as reassuring and that we can help calm some nerves. My name is Ida, and I work at Information and Service here at KTH, and you can find me in the KTH entree, but I'm also the organizer for events such as your arrival day and welcome ceremony. But I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Merit. And yeah, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Merit from the KTH Library. I work mostly with helping students and researchers to find scientific literature and get their references right.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, we know that so many here are tuning in from all over the world. So we just wanted to take this moment to express how grateful we are that you're here and listening to us and taking your time. So once again, we're so happy you're here. But let's get started.
Yes.
Yes, so we're only a few weeks away from the start of your KTH journey, and we know you're all curious what it's like to study here. So today we will guide you through this presentation, which is divided into two parts. It's KTH support and then the KTH library. And our goal is just to help you understand what it's like studying here and also inform you all of the different types of support that we have available for you during your time here. So if you have any questions, we do have the Q&A function open now, but keep in mind that many of your questions may be answered throughout the presentation. But yeah, please use the Q&A function and our lovely staff will help you as best as we can. So the first part of the webinar got 3 categories, and they're just here to help you understand. Well, the first one is here to help you understand the second and third categories, as shown on the screen. And we wanted to start off with a brief introduction to studies in Sweden and KTH in general. So this is just because that we know that studies in Sweden can look really different to what you're used to from your home country or past experience. So we just wanted to start you off with the basics. Yeah, so studies at KTH are divided into 3 levels: bachelor's, master's, and PhD. Bachelor level studies are conducted in Swedish, with the exemption of one of our programs that are given in English, and our doctoral and master level studies are all in English. And the master program is usually 2 years. International master students study together with Swedish 50-year program students, as you can see in the picture, and of course with other Swedish master students and exchange students. The Swedish credit system is based on the ECTS, which in Sweden we call högskolepoäng. So högskolepoängen can be translated to university points, where 1 year of studies equals 60 university points. The academic year is divided into 2 semesters each, part 1 and 2, or P1 and P2, as shown in the picture. So hopefully this little graph will kind of like explain a little bit more how it looks. But the 3 semesters consist of courses, and the last semester is reserved for research in a degree project. Each semester is divided into 2 study periods of approximately 7 weeks, followed by individual work. Exams are held at the end of each study period, or each P, as shown on the screen. And there is an exam preparation time at the end of each study period for self-study and also for retaking exams. So how long this period is, this exam prep is, can fluctuate and variate between different programs. So just make sure that you know what's right for your program. But 2 things to mention is that we know can be new to, a thing that we know can be new to our international students is that you will have 1 or 2 courses at the same time, and then there will be an examination at the end of them before you move on to the next course or courses. As mentioned, there's designated exam period at the end of each study period for this purpose only. You also need to register for the exam at KTH by yourself, which we will talk a little bit further on in the next slide. You can retake exams if you fail. But remember, even if it's a nice thing that you can redo exams, it's important to know that the re-exam might be scheduled at the same time as any future exam, meaning you will have some exam clashes. So it's still good to take all your exams seriously, obviously, and put into work so you don't fall behind.
Yes, good point.
Thank you. So when you study in Sweden and at KTH, you have to take responsibility for your own studies. This means that you yourself need to have an overview of your studies and keep track of any assignments, deadlines, exams, lectures, and overall administration during your studies. And as I mentioned before, this includes registering for courses and exams, which is done via the system called Ladok. To access Ladok already, you can sign in using your university admission login detail if you just want to familiarize yourself with the website. But we want to emphasize here that registration is essential. Even if you're already admitted to a KTH, you still need to register for your courses and exam via Ladok. In your program syllabus, which you can find on the student web, you can keep track of which courses are included in your program and when the courses are running. So if you study full time, you are expected to put in 40 hours a week on your studies. So even if you sometimes may find gaps in your daily schedule, please be aware that these are intended for self-studies or group work. So how you plan your studies is therefore, your responsibility. Lectures are scheduled and always good to attend, but not always mandatory. So keep in mind that you often have to attend lab activities or seminars. What goes for your program and courses entailed will be shared by the person responsible for the course so that you know what's expected from you. And speaking of group work, you might have heard that it's a very big thing in Sweden at KTH, and it truly is. We believe that group work will help improve your team player skills and prepare you for a lot of real life scenarios for when you enter the job market.
Yes, and one thing I heard might differ from other countries in relation to writing exams is that you need to show your identification or your ID in order to be able to write your exam. A valid ID is, for example, an international passport, and a non-valid ID is, for example, a foreign driving license or a digital ID card.
Yes, this is super important, actually. You can find the list of approved IDs on our website, so that could be a good thing to do before you start your studies here at KTH. Oh, and another thing that I thought to mention is the Swedes love punctuality. You can't even be 1 minute late for your exams. If you are, you most likely won't be let in. So try to try to work on your time management, maybe, if you're not very good at that just yet. But yeah, here at KTH, we often speak about openness. But what do we really mean by openness, and how does that work in reality in Sweden and at KTH? Well, in Sweden in general, we call our professors or lecturers by their first names. And whilst this might feel strange at first for some of you, you'll get used to it and you'll love the informality and the sense of equality that exist in KTH classrooms. We believe it allows for free and open way of communicating with each other.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing I know international students often need some encouragement to embrace when starting their studies in Sweden is to start questioning things. It can be everything from your lecturers to your peers and to the way things has always been done. Because KTH doesn't have all the answers, and we can learn as much from you as you can learn from us. So don't be afraid to question us. And if you disagree with someone, that's fine. as long as the disagreement is approached with mutual respect and generosity. And with an openness to viewing and understanding something from another perspective, you will learn more than you think.
Yeah, such a good point, truly. And this also means that if you don't understand something in class, don't understand something on an approach to an assignment, or if you have questions on the course literature, you can just ask us about it. KTH and our lectures are here to help you learn new things in a supportive environment. And if you feel that you need support throughout your studies, but in different ways, we're here for that too. And then that's exactly what we're going to talk about in the upcoming slides, actually. So we have checked off the first thing of the agenda. So we're going to move on to the next category. As a KTH student, you will have access to many types of support and services to help during your studies. Everything from support to improve your study techniques to extra support when writing exams. It just depends on your needs, really. So starting off, we wanted to talk about study counseling. So if you need guidance in your studies, you can reach out to your study counselor, which sometimes is referred to a master coordinator. They can help you if you have questions or need guidance about any of the topics you can see on the screen now. And as you can see, the topics range from help with the selection of a specialization to important study skills and how to plan your studies.
Yes, and the KTH library also offers support within some of these areas, like literature searching, reference management, and academic writing. We will talk more about this later on in the webinar.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're a student with a documented permanent disability, you can get compensatory support in your studies here at KTH, which we will introduce you to next. And another support that ties into that is funka. And that's a Swedish word. This stands for working. And in accordance with the Discrimination Act decided by the Swedish government, KTH conducts target work to actively promote equal rights and opportunities for students with disabilities. So Funka exists as we want to ensure all KTH students' success. So some examples of permanent disabilities could be dyslexia, Asperger's, ADHD, ADD, any physical disabilities, and permanent mental illness. So the support that you can get is always based on an individual assessment and depends on your disability. Some of our most common support tends to be surrounding support during exam time, such as extended writing time, but there's also other types of support that you can also see on the screen.
Yes, and in addition to this, we at the library can give you access to talking books for those of you who are in need. This will be addressed in the second part of the presentation, and we will dive deeper into the library then.
Yeah, amazing. So, what are the requirements and how do you apply for Funka support? Well, you must be admitted to a program at KTH, and you must have a documented, issued, and signed by a licensed medical expert that certifies your permanent disability. So bear in mind that if your medical certificate is in a language other than Swedish, Norwegian, Danish, or English, you need to present us with a certificate that is certified, that a certified translator has translated to either Swedish or English. And remember to bring this with you to Sweden in case you need it during your studies here. Finally, on this topic, apply for support well in advance in order to receive support ahead of your initial exam period in October. Many apply in the start of the semester, so be proactive and get ahead of it if you need additional support.
Yes, that's very important. Also, when it comes to ordering talking books, we need to know well in advance.
Yeah, so be proactive. So if you still feel unsure on how the support KTH offer works in reality, you can have a closer look into the student interviews on our website. On our website, you can find these student interviews, both from current master's students, but also alumni. We at KTH want you to get a student perspective, of course, on everything related to being a student with us. This including their view on support offered. So you can always scan the QR code and it will take you directly to the website where you can find all of these student interviews. It looks like current students think that the support offered is useful, but not only the support available while studying, but also the extensive support for their future career, which we will be exploring later on.
Yes, but many students also tell us that they find out about the support much too late.
Yeah.
So we really want to make sure that you know from the start what opportunities you have to make the most out of your studies with the support available to you.
Absolutely. So you've come here and you're learning all about it, which is a really good start. So moving on, we would like to speak about another valuable support to our student, which is called Studenthälsan. And this is a complement to the Swedish healthcare system. So Studenthälsan is a national portal to students' health, available to all students in Sweden. Here you can find facts, events, interviews that can provide you with tips and advice to improve your well-being. And as mentioned before, please note that Studenthälsan complements the Swedish healthcare system, but does not provide hands-on healthcare like the healthcare clinics do. And speaking about the healthcare clinics, if you have medication on prescription, it's here that you can renew this if needed. So when arriving to Sweden, please bring the prescription from your doctor, preferable in English, and bring it to the healthcare clinic when you need to renew it. But keep in mind that healthcare and approach to health can vary from country to country. So you might have to do some extra checkups in order to renew your prescription. So we mentioned this here because we want to let you all know that it's a good idea to bring your medication and make sure that it covers you for some time ahead until you get your prescription renewals in order. Studenthälsan can help you get in contact with the healthcare system that are connected to your university. And as a student at KTH, you are connected to Stockholm Student Health Services, which we'll introduce further in the upcoming slides.
Yes, but before we
Oh,
move
yeah.
on, know that if you're unsure on where to turn if you experience health-related issues, you can read more about this and about the Swedish healthcare on our website. And Sweden has clinics specialized in other areas as well, such as local emergency units, sexual and reproductive health clinics, and psychiatric services, which you can read more about on our webpage as well.
Yes, very good point. But a little bit more about Student Health Service, the Stockholm Student Health Service. They're responsible for the student health of about 15 different universities across Sweden. And we know that being a student can be challenging and stressful at times, which can cause a negative impact on your well-being as well as your studies. So if you think that you could gain from some individual counseling in order to help you with any potential issues, you're welcome to contact Stockholm Student Health Service, who can put you in contact with nurses or psychiatrists that can help you with lifestyle concerns, sleeping patterns, eating habits, procrastination, or fear of speech. And it's important to know that they are all bound to confidentiality.
Yes, and it's important to know that it's free of charge to get in contact with Stockholm Student Health Service, and it functions as a complement to the public healthcare, just like Studenthälsan.
Yes, amazing. So in conclusion, being proactive with your health will help you succeed at KTH. And keep in mind that in Sweden, speaking about mental health is not something bad. It's the opposite. It's actually super encouraged. And it's important to feel your best and to learn important skills on how to balance high study pressure with your mental health. So every semester, Stockholm Student Health Services offer group sessions and other activities in English which is there with the aim to help you take care of your well-being during your time as a student. So we checked off another category. We're just flying by. But moving on to my final category before I will hand over to you. And you will talk about the amazing library and all that bits and bobs. But I want to dive a little bit deeper into the support offered regarding your future careers. So let me introduce you to KTH Career and the support they offer to our students. So finding a job as a new graduate will definitely have its challenges, despite the amazing reputation KTH alumni have. For example, it could be demands for a specific language in a specific industry or demand for a specific skill set. However, as soon as you become a student here at KTH, you can utilize all of the support service offered, and KTH Career is one of them that can help you on this journey. So some things that KTH Career can offer you with is planning and strategies, help you plan and strategize for your career after your graduation. They can help you conduct your CV and cover letter, including how to plan and achieve your goals. They can help you navigate the cultural differences you may experience in the Swedish job market. And KTH Career also organizes events, and you can find the event calendar online. So KTH offers many exciting opportunities that you can apply for during your studies. And some examples can be holding a workshop, excuse me, become a mentor at Funka, become a student ambassador, and other paid opportunities. Move on. So graduates from KTH are highly sought after by employees, and KTH students get strong theoretical knowledge coupled with practical skills and the ability to adapt in various work environments. But what is in store for you when you become a KTH alumni? Well, a lifelong relationship. There are around 100,000 KTH graduates worldwide, and the alumni community enables you to maintain and widen your social and professional network. Why we address this in relation to the support that KTH can offer you and your future career is because we have something called a KTH Alumni Mentor Program. This means that you can apply for this and be linked up with the KTH alumni. The aim with this is for the KTH Alumni Mentor Program is to give you as a student inspiration for your future career and work life. So by sharing the alumni's knowledge and experience, large and small, you and your KTH alumni mentor will gain new knowledge and new perspectives. So we also received a lot of questions ahead of this webinar about PhD studies. And we know that this is something KTH Career also received a lot of questions about. So therefore, we just quickly wanted to address some important information about doing a PhD at KTH to those who are interested in that after you finish your master's students. Master studies even.
Yeah. And actually 12% of international students go on to PhD studies.
Yeah, that's so amazing. But yes, doctoral studies consist of 3 years of full-time research and 1 year of courses. You will devote yourself to a research project under the supervision of an experienced researcher. So KTH recruits only the best candidates for the doctoral studies, and often KTH master students. And the selection process can be highly competitive. If you get a position, you will be employed by the university with a monthly salary. So vacant positions are announced around 9 times a year, and to be eligible, just make sure that you meet the admission requirements here. But you can read more about PhD studies at KTH at our website and anything that KTH Career puts together too. And in some programs, you may be assigned to a degree project, but the most common way for finding your degree project is by yourself. So KTH give you access to our degree project portal where companies can advertise for degree projects students can apply for. The degree project is also an opportunity for you to make valuable contacts in the job market, and it might even be your first step in finding a job in Sweden after you graduate. If you can't find what you're looking for in the portal, some other ways to find your degree projects are directly contacting companies, your own contacts and networks, or sometimes even your lecturers might have some ideas.
Yes, and when we introduce the KTH library very soon in this webinar, you will also learn how we can support you while writing your degree project.
Yeah. And as a student at KTH, you can also get support from KTH Innovation. Here, students, researchers, and employees alike who want to develop an idea or create impact with their research can get support, can get the support they need to test and grow their ideas through KTH Innovation. So the support that they can give you are personal business development coaching, access to funding, legal and patent support, recruitment support and network access. And this support is free and confidential, and KTH takes no ownership in ideas.
Right. And just to mention, if you are interested in learning more about innovations, you can also search in one of the library's many patent databases.
Yeah.
So we'll be happy to help you with that as well.
Yeah, that's great inspiration, isn't it? Yeah. So moving on with the agenda, I'll hand over to you now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ida. And similar to part 1, part 2 is divided into 3 parts. So let's move on by introducing the KTH library. And if you think of a library, your first thought is probably just books. But the KTH library offers a lot more, and it might play a huge role during your studies here at KTH. The KTH library, or KTH-biblioteket, as we say in Swedish, supports the academic and digital skills of students and researchers. The library promotes open access publishing and provides the university with analysis to help them make strategic decisions. The goal is to strengthen the quality of education and research and to disseminate KTH's research. The library is also a central meeting place and an arena for collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, the library is so beautiful. It's like almost like a piece in art.
It's
a piece in art. Yes.
And we love it. And the students do too. As a student at KTH, you have access to all the services and resources that the KTH library provides. The library is situated in the middle of the campus and is open all days besides Sundays. It varies a little bit in the summer, but you can read all about the opening hours on our webpage. And in the picture here, you see the information desk where you can ask all your questions regarding the library. But you can also use the self-service area if you prefer to loan books, return books, as well as pick up your reservations. And now that you know the KTH library a bit more, let's look into the resources that we offer. And it's probably more than you think. So you have access to physical books and journals that you find in the library. Books can normally be borrowed for 14 days with automatic renewal for up to 180 days. But the digital library is much bigger than the physical one. And you have access to thousands of journals, ebooks, online articles, and they are all searchable through the library search tool Primo, which you can also find on the webpage, and through around 100 databases.
Yeah, wow. And just to jump in here, to be able to access this material, you must have activated your library account and be logged into KTH. So when you are, you will be recognized as a KTH user regardless of where you are. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a good point, Ida, because many people prefer to study from home at
Mhm.
times or from somewhere else, and that's no problem as long as you log in with your KTH credentials.
Yeah.
Yes, and the main library at the KTH campus offers many different study spaces, so you can choose what suits you. The library is a very popular study spot, and here you can see one of the most popular, which is the reading balcony, where you have a view over the library hall. And through the library, you can also get help with various aspects in your studies, especially when you have written assignments or presentations. Through the Center for Academic Writing and Rhetoric at the KTH Library, they can help you develop your academic writing and presentation skills. And they help you with any stage of the writing process, like getting started or overcoming writer's block, writing drafts, or finalizing the details. And this service is free of charge and open for all students at bachelor's and master's level. And we also offer support on how to search the databases in order to find scientific articles, which is something you will need for your degree projects. We can also discuss with you whether a source is reliable and how you can evaluate that. And we can help you to get those references organized. And also to get started with a reference management program, which is a very good idea. So why is it important to know how to use your sources correctly? And why is it important to develop a good academic practice when researching and writing?
Mm.
Well, because we want you to avoid plagiarism and avoid getting disciplinary action to be taken based on things you didn't know. So let's talk a little bit about plagiarism. And what does it mean? So the basic definition, one could say, is that plagiarism means submitting someone else's work as if it were your own. And in Sweden, rules about academic writing and referencing can be different from what you're used to. So it's important to understand the rules that apply at KTH, because if an examiner suspects plagiarism, they must report it. Whenever you use a source, you should give a reference, both out of respect for the scholars, but also to help the reader understand how your ideas have emerged. And the reader should also be able to check any sources should they so wish. Knowing how to use your sources correctly and have good academic practice will minimize the risk for plagiarism. And that is something that we at the library and the Center for Academic Writing and Rhetoric can help you with. There are also rules when it comes to applying generative AI tools to your academic work. You always have to check with your teacher what applies to a specific course, but as a general rule, the work that you hand in has to be your own.
Yeah, and sometimes the library, do you have seminars about AI and how to use it in the library and stuff like that?
Yes, we do have some seminars about generative AI and when it comes to information searching
Yeah.
and academic writing.
Yeah, it's so relevant now, isn't it? So yeah,
Yes.
it's really good.
Okay, let's move on to some other services. If you prefer to listen to text rather than to read it, you can download the Speech Synthesis Tour Talk, which is free for everyone at KTH, and it can read many different formats of text. If you have a reading disability, you can also get access to something called Talking Books, which I mentioned earlier. For that, you need to book an appointment with the library, and you can do that easily through the library webpage.
Mm.
And a lot of course material is already available as Talking Books. But if you need new material to be recorded, you have to contact us as soon as you know, because it can take some time to create a new talking book.
Yeah, and we mentioned Talking Books when we introduced Funka earlier, but you actually do not need a certificate to use talking books. It's enough that you describe your reading disability when you book this appointment, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's really good. But yeah, let's move
Yes.
on to the last
Right,
category.
the category.
Yeah.
Which is
Seminars.
seminars, events and happenings at the KTH Library, because we do have a lot of them too.
Yeah.
And one that is coming soon is Library Fair. We will talk about that soon, but the library arranges weekly seminars about topics such as generative AI in information searching, which we talked about, reference management, how to find standards, connecting your Zotero library to Overleaf. And those are just some examples. We have a lot more seminars, almost 1 or 2 times a week.
Wow.
And during the spring semester, we have special workshops for students writing their degree projects. And that we do it together with the Center for Academic and Rhetoric. Sometimes we also offer popular science lectures with researchers from KTH. 1 or 2 times a year, we have arranged TEDx Saloon events. This last time, the theme was AI in research. And there are also regular exhibitions and other fun stuff, like we had a pumpkin carving workshop during Halloween, which was very popular.
Yeah.
And just recently, I think last week, we had a paper flower workshop. So people were making their own paper flowers. And to not miss out on any of these events, you can follow us in social media or take a regular look in our calendar. In week 36, we are arranging a welcoming week for new students. We call it Library Fair. And some of you will already have this booked in your schedule, depending on which program you are going to study. But for those of you who don't, then you can sign up for the 2 open events, which are Tuesday or Thursday at 4 to 5 o'clock in week 36. During Library Fair, you will get a guided tour in the library, and we will help you activate your account and show you how to access our material. There will be table tennis, snacks, and a competition and other fun stuff going on all week. So good luck, and hope to see you at the KTH and in the library.
Amazing. I just realized when you were talking about another culture difference, like Swedish people use weeks a lot. So week 36. I don't know if many people do that outside of Sweden, but it just came to me that week 36.
The date. I think it's the 2nd to the 6th.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it's thank you.
But yes, week 36 otherwise. So yeah, we've taken us through the agenda now, but before we close this webinar, we wanted to share some last few reminders. So at your mandatory school introduction, which we introduced at our last webinar, so if you tune into that one, you might be familiar with this, but during the mandatory school introduction, you will meet your program coordinator. They can sometimes also be referred to as master coordinator or study counselor. But they are your main contact during your studies here at KTH. This is also the person you should reach out to if you are unsure about anything really, or if you want to query what support function you should reach out to if you are unsure. They will be able to guide you through any worries and will be the best person to answer your questions with the most accuracy, or they will guide you to the people best suited for that topic. But if you are unsure about who your program coordinator is, you can always use the KTH official point of contact, which is info@kth.se, and we will help you there. But all other information addressed during this webinar can also be found on our website. So if you scan the QR code here on the slide, you'll be sent to the right location and you can look through the website in your own time if you want to reflect and just digest all this information. It's a good place to go. And And finally, please stay in the loop. If you want to find out what current K2H students think about their studies, you can follow our student bloggers and ask students questions online at the KTH website. You can also follow KTH on social media such as Instagram, WeChat, and other channels.
Yes, and you can also find the KTH library on Instagram and Facebook as shown on the slide.
Yeah, and although the Q&A function is now closed for incoming questions, we will keep the webinar open until all questions have been answered. So if you have any further questions after this webinar, please reach out to info@kth.se. But we hope that you enjoyed this webinar and learned a thing or two about studies in Sweden and KTH. And we hope to see you all soon. So thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.